earlier this year, I was on jury duty for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they actually let us off at 5 o'clock, and we don't usually get out of here until like 7:30, 8. So I actually could come back to work.
Like a vacation, yeah.
It was back when we were in Santa Monica, and I was at the Santa Monica courthouse, so I just like got on the 10 freeway and got right off on Cloverfield and like went straight to work. And I think there are strange parallels. We're going to attempt to draw parallels between being a gamer and being on jury duty.
Okay.
And when I was done with jury duty, I was like, we should talk about that, because I finished Bravely Default because I was on jury duty.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, as long as I'm sitting in this room not doing anything, not in the courtroom, but like when we were like adjourned or when I was forced to be somewhere, I was like, oh, just pull out my 3DS. Did jury duty make you think of games? Were you playing games at all during jury duty?
It made me think more about filmmaking than games. But yeah, I mean, it's very like it was very interesting, even though the subject matter of the case was rather bland. It was a civil case. Some guy was suing Wells Fargo because they didn't think they were treated fairly in regards to this loan on a property on Rodeo Drive, or on Beverly Drive, right next to Rodeo Drive. Big money, lots of money happening. And yeah, we eventually found that Wells Fargo was not guilty of fraud. Ineptitude, sure, like a lot of people acted like morons, but no, we decided that no one did it with malice or fraudulent intent, you know. But it was very interesting experience-wise, just to like see what was happening and like see all the lawyers. And I guess it did get I gamified it for myself, because the lawyers object constantly. It's part of their
why not?
job.
You know, it's like you don't get like you don't have like a set number of objections. Like, oh, we got 2 more objections.
No, right? Yeah, there's no quota or stock. But so I gamified it for myself, whereas I started to try to guess which objection they were going to say, because they have to stand up. They go, "Objection, Your Honor," and then I'm like, "Okay, this one's going to be compound."
Leading the witness.
Yeah, there were a few leadings. This one's going to be compound, and then what were the other ones they said all the time? Lacks foundation. Happened a lot. Yeah, a few other ones.
The one thing I noticed is that lawyers would be way ahead of the other lawyer. So like if I'm defense lawyer and you're prosecuting, I know what you're going to say way before you say it.
Yeah.
So like there were a lot of times when the guy would be like, so I have this form, and I'd see like the whole table light up, where they're like, oh no, they get up and like shut him up, and it's like, wow, he was like prepped for that. So I wonder, because and it took us a while to get in every day. There would be like they'd at least be like 10 or 15 minutes late. So I imagine like in that 15 minutes, they're going over with the judge everything they're going to talk about, every witness. So like there's not a lot of surprises. So these guys see this stuff coming.
I was also in the Santa Monica courthouse, which is a nice courthouse. Our judge was very efficient. We were to be there at 9:30. And the only thing that ever held us back was one of the jurors if they were late. We were always in on time. Our breaks were always on time. Our lunch
was a juror ever late?
A couple of times.
Oh, okay.
Once was a misunderstanding. Once somebody had like a little fender bender.
Oh no.
And then one time one guy was just a little late. But like, yeah, people were pretty good generally. We had a really cool bunch of jurors too. I met one guy who's like a writer. He'd been a writer for E! For a long time, so he like knew all these people and tell me stories. He wrote a book called Slap Noir, which I'm reading now. It's actually pretty good. I
didn't make friends with anybody.
Oh, really? Like
just
all the
played
jurors,
3DS
like,
the whole time.
We're going to lunch together and stuff. That's the worst thing about this thing is I work freelance for GT, so like every day I wasn't here, I didn't get paid, and then they only give you $15 a day, and you have to buy food because I didn't have time to like prepare meals. So it's just like it was very funny because one of the witnesses was like an expert witness, and they were being paid $500 an hour, and I was like, "You're getting paid $500 an hour, and I'm just bleeding money just being here."
That's actually probably one of the biggest things that I learned from actually being on jury duty. I've actually been called for jury duty many, many, many times.
First time for me,
but this last year was the first time I actually finally got on a jury. That there are guys that are just like the one that I was on was all about asbestos and breathing and cancer and so there were all these guys that came in that were like, oh, this totally causes cancer. No, it totally does not.
Right.
And they had like clearly differing opinions, and they just get on a plane, fly somewhere, walk in the courtroom, sit down, go no, get out, get a paycheck, get back on the plane, go home.
Yeah, ours was about buildings and stuff. So yeah, we had one appraiser was like, this building is worth this amount of money. Of course, the plaintiff wanted the building to be worth more. The defendants wanted it to be worth less. Both sides were a little specious, but like they were calling for comparable buildings, and like one of them used the Apple store on 3rd Street, which is not at all comparable for this building. So all of the jurors, we were basically just like in the room. We were just basically like, all right, all of these witnesses are like all of these people are idiots. Like we can't listen to anything they say.
And as a juror, like I discredited people a lot quicker than I thought I would. I thought I'd be like, well, I got to hear somebody out. And just like, a couple minutes into somebody's testimony, I'm like, I'm not taking any of this.
The thing that blew my mind is there was like a 6-6 split on the two key witnesses, the person suing and then the main problem person. That was
the official term, right?
Yeah.
In legalese.
It should be. There was a split of who believed who. Like, me and a few other people thought that this lady was not very good at her job, but not a liar. And like half of the other jurors were like, no, she was lying. That was crazy. It blew my mind to really see, because you can't talk about the case in my case, for 7 days in court. It was like 2.5 weeks because of breaks and stuff. But like, it'd been 7 straight days of sitting in a chair, rapt attention, like paying attention, I took, I think, 95 pages of notes, and like, it was just insanity, and you can't talk about it. And then finally you get into this room, and I thought, to me, which I'm kind of happy because this is the way that we, after talking about it all day, finally came out kind of this way, but like, I didn't see a case. Like, I didn't think there was fraud or malice at all, and I assumed everyone else would think the same thing. Yeah. I got in there, and I was blown away that, like, 4 or 5 of the jurors were like, no way, that they should pay for this. And I'm like, what? Really?
So to steer it, if we can, back to relevance, back to our audience, back to the hopefully hundreds or thousands of people watching this video.
Sorry.
We've talked before on Just Played and other shows about, indie games that you like, where you're like, I like solve a mystery, or like get the clues together, figure out like who did what, or who's responsible for what, or what decisions people will make, real people or NPCs.
Well, like,
did you learn anything about the character of human beings?
That kind of stuff, yes. That kind of stuff is really cool. Like, sort of LA Noire, like watching people, because you have to, like, that's the thing. Like, the legal system, the judge even says, like, you have to judge if this person is telling you the truth. They could lie about everything, and it's up to you to decide if you believe them or not. And like, we had to go back and look at evidence of like, this email was at this time on November 3rd, 2011. So that means that the thing that he said can't be true because this happened after he said that, and like, and it's just like stuff like that was pretty cool. Like going through and like, that said, I don't ever want to do that again.
Well, it's funny because you first found out you were summoned, and you're just all like mopey about it, and then like after that first day, you were like, it's kind of fun actually.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like the funniest thing about it was like, I don't know why I got on the jury. I literally, and I believed this, and I kept believing it. Like I literally said to them, I think trials like this are petty and ridiculous. I think people suing for punitive damages is petty and ridiculous and a waste of everyone's time and money. And they put me on the jury.
There's something about you that they could tell.
Because they asked me then after that, and it was like, do you think that a bank would act to hurt someone like this? And I was like, why would they care? And they were like, but could it be conceivable? I'm like, yeah, but you'd have to really prove the malice, And I think saying that is what got me on the jury, because I was like, you'd really have to prove it, because I just don't buy that they would give a hoot.
And they didn't prove it to you.
They didn't prove it, so they got off. They didn't have to pay anything.
They failed the game. Fail state. Phoenix right. Try again.
Yeah, the plaintiff failed, and Wells Fargo lives.
So you made the most of it,
another day.
But not something you would ever recommend. Sometimes at the end of these videos, we recommend games to people.
No, I would
we
not
have an
recommend
experience
Jury
that they
Duty.
should try.
I do not recommend playing Jury Duty. It's interesting, but largely forgettable. You gain a little life experience. But all in all,
your intellect leveled up just a little bit.
Yeah, my intellect leveled up, and I did get a few ideas. I did write one thing for this radio show that we're doing, but like where it was like a guy keeps stumbling into faux pas. But the only reason the only reason I got that idea from Jury Duty is because I said to someone that Jury Duty makes me want to gouge my eyes out, and then I was like, oh, what if someone was offended by it? So it had nothing to actually do with Jury Duty, just the fact that I hated Jury Duty. Anyway. tangent.
It's good creative inspiration, possibly.
It's fun.
But if you can avoid it,
yeah,
you insist.
You
upon
don't
that.
want jury duty, but if you get it, you make the best of it because it's not a total drag.
You think people are going to want to watch this video?
No.
We'll find out.
Don't watch this video. Thanks.